Welcome to the Livin The Dream video podcast. I'm Rishi Barran from the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. This is episode number 40, the Shawn Kemp, the Rain Man edition. You know, I just turned 40 not too long ago. I'm a little older than that now, but for my 40th birthday, everybody was like, all your favorite teams have a 40. There's Shawn Kemp, there's Gale Sayers, and there's Bartolo Colon, who's played for about 50 teams. So you could try to do the math to figure that out. But this is episode 40. We'll call it the Shawn Kemp edition. And I'm here for episode 40, we got to break out the champagne. So we brought in the guy who used to do a segment called the Champagne Train. And that's because his name is Cam Champagne. Cam, thank you for making time to do this today. It's really good to see you.
It's a pleasure having me.
Well, we always start this conversation the same place, and it's at the beginning. Where did the dream of being involved in sports broadcasting start out for you?
Oh goodness. So I grew up watching sports, playing sports with my dad. Sports has always been part of my life. I knew I wanted to work. I was probably 8 or 9 watching College Game Day every week, every Saturday. It was my most favorite time because I was off school. That's another reason. Off school, watch College Game Day, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to work in sports and just be around there. I was like, that'd be a cool job. That's kind of where it just started, and then kind of just grew from there.
And it's literally taken him out of the country and around the world. Cam got an opportunity to work for NBC at the Paris Olympics very recently. I can't wait to get into that, more chat about that, Cam, because you're the first one to do that for us, to work for the Olympics. And
That's
that was
awesome.
really special when you told me you were doing that. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But you're from Davidson, North Carolina. That was a town you spent a lot of your childhood. The first thing people think of when they hear that is Steph Curry. I know you were probably like very young when that run happened with Davidson in the NCAA tournament. But what do you remember about kind of the buzz around Steph Curry as you grew older?
I mean, I didn't once I moved there, I was like, this is small town. I have no idea. And then Steph Curry, it was a little bit, I moved there a little bit after that, but I was like, oh my goodness. So we went to Davis basketball games. The buzz around the city was awesome. He's done so much for that college. I went to Davidson basketball camp when I was little. Bob McKillop is a legendary coach there. He spent 25 plus years there. He was a great guy. He actually, I met Curry at, I used to live in a country club in River Run in Davidson, and he did a little charity event every year in that neighborhood. Played golf charity classic, and he was on the driving range. People were able to just go and watch, and he came over and took pictures. I will actually send you a picture that we can put in here. It's when I was little, me and my brother, and we took a picture with Curry, and it was super young in his NBA career. It was probably right before he won his first championship. So that was pretty cool. He's done a lot for the city, and it's really grown, put Davidson on the map. So
That's awesome. What did it mean to you to have an athlete, somebody who was at the highest level, and certainly he's gone on to win MVPs and NBA championships, as you just mentioned. What did it mean to you to have that kind of a positive interaction with an athlete?
no, he was super nice. He's super easygoing. He's always willing to take pictures, especially with the community of Davidson. He comes to games all the time. When he comes and plays in Charlotte once a year, he comes sit courtside. He's actually, excuse me, named their student section like it's sponsored by Curry. So their jerseys are sponsored by Curry. Like he's like his logo, his Steph Curry logo, the SC is on their jerseys. So me meeting him and then going and watching him in Paris was insane. Like I was sitting courtside watching him play, and I just remember I go back to that little picture when I was little, and it was he just had a big impact, and I always looked up to him because he's a great athlete.
What a kind of round tail moment for both of you. Like he went from this kid at Davidson, and most of you watching may not have seen this run, but he was a real skinny kid. He was small. Nobody thought he was good enough to play in college, let alone the NBA at a high level. And now you see what he's become now. It's kind of a similar journey for you, being a kid who just likes sports, and next thing you know, you're sitting courtside for the Olympics, which I'm going to guess those, if you had to pay for those, that probably would have been pretty expensive.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. I got to sit next to D Wade, and that was just it was insane. But yeah, it was awesome.
So you said college game day was a big part of your childhood. What was it about watching that show that made you think, wow, I love sports and I love watching the way they broadcast it?
It's just like them connecting with the students. Like the students, if you get college game day, you know you are the talk of the town. Like it's the game of the week. Everybody wants to go there. So like I loved how they go to smaller schools maybe once or twice a year. Like they go to App State in Boone, North Carolina, which I had a few buddies that went there. And when college game day rolled around, they were stoked. But for me growing up, I don't know. They looked like they had fun. Like it looked like they weren't even working. They were just talking about football and they were interacting with the students and they were doing contests. And now with Pat McAfee on there, it's changed the game. He does a field goal contest. He gets up on the chair, takes off his shirt. It's nuts. I love the atmosphere. And I'm like, yeah, I want to work in that and be in that environment.
Yeah, I could feel that when you were a student. Like you seem like the kind of guy who just liked to talk sports and have fun. And that's really something I think that sometimes gets lost is this is supposed to be fun, right? You're out here talking about sports. It's, when we get students in at school, sometimes they're rightfully so serious about putting their shows together, but it's important to keep that fun aspect going as well. And I think that's probably why when you were in school in high school, you decided, hey, I'm going to start up a sportscasting club. How did you get inspired to do that?
I don't know. I so we had to do a senior project and I wanted to do it on you had to do it on your career, what you wanted to do. And sportscasting was obviously mine. And it was kind of just a little side club. One of my teachers' name was Mr. Burr. I don't know if he works there anymore or teaches there, but he also loved the idea because he loved the sports and he taught like a filming class. So I talked to him one day after school and was like, hey, why don't we start this? And just like we sat in the corner of our gym and broadcasted the basketball games. We did some football games, kind of did like a college game day kind of thing before the games right behind or right in front of the student section. So it was, but we started that, and yeah, it's kind of just it was just random one day, and I just wanted to do it, and then I had some buddies that also wanted to do it because they love sports, and we recorded a few things for my project. It was kind of then I posted it on the project, I ended up getting like A. So yeah, so that was kind of the gist of it.
And I understand it grew to like be one of the bigger clubs in the school, and you probably felt pretty special that you created something that made an impact on people. What was your mindset after you left and you realized, wow, I did something that, was brand new, kind of like what we did at the Dan Patrick School. I started near the beginning and it was pretty cool building it. You built something out of nothing. How did that make you feel?
Oh, it made me feel well because after I left, they started posting things on Instagram. Like they really turned it into something. Like they would have highlight reels for the football games, and it was nothing like that when I was there. But I kind of saw it grew, and it kind of made me happy because like other people wanted to do it too, and they carried on the little legacy. I can to see if I can find some videos because students there that were doing that a few years. I don't know if it's still around, but when they were doing it a few years back, it was insane. Like they were using Adobe Premiere Pro to edit highlights, edit hype videos. Like if there's a big game, like Community School of Davidson was our biggest rivalry. I went to Pine Lake Prep in Morrisville, and so they would create a big hype video, try to get people to go, and it was awesome. So I loved how it grew after I started it, and yeah, it was very cool to see.
That's Cam Champagne. I just realized, Kim, I forgot to mention what you do at the beginning of the episode. He is a freelance runner, primarily for NBC, but he's also worked with CBS, Fox, and even Amazon. And that's an interesting story how that all came about, which we'll get to in a bit. But you mentioned starting to call these games in high school and being in a corner of the gym. What was original broadcaster Cam Champagne like calling these games?
It was nothing like a professional broadcast. We were just having fun, laughing. Like I had honestly really had no idea how how hard it was, how you had to prep game notes and write game boards and study the other team as well. We mainly just studied our home team, so when we were calling it, we just like saying numbers on the other team we didn't even know. It wasn't really much prepared, but now going into Full Sail, I did a few Rollins basketball games, and that was a whole different level, and I really understood how much it has to go into and how much prep you have to do for it.
Yeah, it's great that you got that evolution of going from, and I think a lot of people come to our school are like that, that they're like, oh, I like sports. I like talking about sports. Oh, give me a game. Okay, I'll call a game. But there is an art to it. There is a discipline to it. There's an organization to it. And I'm glad you got that experience with us. That's now helped you to grow professionally. I also understand are a former three-time employee of the month at Chick-fil-A, one of the great establishments around the country. Was that your first job?
I was like my first like official job. I was like what 15, 16 because they hire really young there. And I worked there for about a year and a half. And then I was like, I can't do this. I loved it. I loved it when I was there because I worked with my friends. But once we got to our senior year and like school workload came a lot, I couldn't handle the both because I was working late nights like until the closing at like 11. And then, but no, it was great. I really matured me a lot working there, learning how to, like, I still say my pleasure when people say thank you nowadays. So it's like just brainwashed into my head. But no, it's good. It's taught you how to be a mature teenager at that time. I was a crazy kid. So, but no, I liked it. It was fun. We had a good time because I worked with a bunch of my buddies.
All right, I don't want to get too far off the rails here because we're talking about your career now, but I do have two Chick-fil-A questions for you, all right?
Oh
So one of them
goodness.
you brought up, and by the way, I was just on X earlier today, and I saw some video of some guy who it looked fake, but it was like the guy forgot to say my pleasure, and then he got all rattled. Look it up, it's funny. Um, anyway, I want to know the my pleasure story because I've never really learned it. So how does that ingrained in you as an employee? What's the policy, and how do they ingrain it into you to always say it?
So there's like an unwritten myth that they told me when you work there. I don't know if it's true because I've never didn't do it, but if you don't say it and like they have proof of you not saying it, you can apparently get a free meal or whatever. Their policy is like you just have to be they come to you. The guests come to you. They're paying for you to serve them, so you have to serve them right. So then my pleasure was just it was a great company. It's a great Christian company. It's closed on Sundays, which was nice for me because I could watch NFL on Sunday
Yeah.
in high school. So, but no, they just want you to be the nicest person and treat them. They want to be the best. That's why they're the number one fast food company for I don't even know how many years in a row now. But just it keeps bringing people back. That's why they're looking for that positive service, which they've always had. So.
And that leads into my second question. I worked fast food as well. I worked at McDonald's, and it wasn't necessarily the greatest experience. I think the biggest thing I learned was that I didn't want to do it, right? But for you, you mentioned the maturity that you got from the company. Anytime I go to Chick-fil-A, or for the most part, it just seems so well organized, so well run. What did you take from the leadership there and their way of running a business that has helped you moving on in your life?
I just treat the people the way you want to be treated. Because I obviously didn't get treated the best all the time. Because you always have those one customers that come in and be like, "I didn't get no sauce. I want to know pickles. Like I want." It was just random little things like that. Like, it taught me how to be a nice person, and I've always been a nice person, but it matured me. And that's how I became awesome at networking. I just learned how to talk to people. I'm not afraid to talk to. I can talk to anyone. Put me in a room with 1,000 people. I'll be friends with almost 999 of them by the end of that. I love talking to people and love interacting and hearing people's stories.
That's Cameron Champagne. And you finished school, you finished that senior year with your sportscasting club in the bag. At that point, how clear was it to you of the path you wanted to take?
Yeah, so we had a college fair come, and I didn't even know Full Sail was a thing. I didn't even know it was school. I didn't even know they had a sports broadcasting program. I probably would have went to another different school and just did journalism. But I was like, I don't want to go take math. I don't want to go take like I don't want to learn all of that stuff. And then I went and did a tour of Full Sail, and I was like, yeah, I want to go here. Like it's hands on, like it's doing exactly what I want to do. They're teaching exactly what I want to do. I don't want to go learn other things that I have no interest in and just wasting my money at that point. So I come here, did the tour, watched we did like I think it was with Gus. They always, when they do the tours, they do like a little segment on the desk, and you just have to do it in front of people and perform like a little segment. And that was when I realized I wanted to do. I came with my dad, um, and it was awesome. So that's when I realized I wanted to go to Full Sail because I didn't even know it was a thing.
And you were really young coming to us, right? So when you came our way, what was the culture shock like being, okay, now I'm moving to a place, probably didn't know anybody or many people, and now you're kind of on your own in this group, which ended up being a pretty big group of students that you were working through the program with.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are gonna kill me when I say this, but it was it's nice moving away from them when they watched this. It was nice moving away. I was like, oh my God, I get to live on my own. Like this is awesome. And then the reality came in. I started to pay bills, and the rest is that. But no, it was awesome when I came down. First day of school, I was nervous. Obviously, that's how everybody is. That's new people. It was a new. You start off in intro sportscasting, so we sat in a room. I didn't even know where I was going. Like I was like, oh my God, what if I'm late for first day of school? Like, what if the teacher doesn't like me? And it was a million things going through my head. But once I got in, a few days in, I was settled in, and it was awesome because we were really learning about sports broadcast. Like, who doesn't want to do that for their job? So
That's a pretty good gig if you can get it, right?
for sure.
We I think I was there when your class came in for the introduction, right? So Gus does this introduction to the new students that are in the program once a month, and I think I was there that day. And you guys had a big class to start out with, like really big. And at the time, it was the biggest class we'd had sign up. How did you find your place in this big group that had a lot of different types of people and personalities?
Well, we had a guy from Arkansas with the thickest country accent I've heard, Jackson McCarty. He ended up being one of my good friends. We still talk today. Um, So yeah, we really connected with the people in our class really easily because we had a really easygoing class. By the end of it, we were all best friends. We had Ellie Davis, which she's now doing stuff on air. Um, so yeah, and then Garrison. So it was just everyone wanted. We hung out. We had fun outside of school. We watched sports all the time because we all love sports. So it's easy to connect with people that have similar interests in you instead of going to a normal college where everyone else has 100 different majors. So it was easier to connect because those people also loved sports.
You got any good behind the scenes stories of what goes on when you're not in class?
We just me, Chris Spar, and Jackson would play basketball, and Garrison would play basketball. We talk trash together. We would. It's like we all had different teams. So like Chris was a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. They're division rivals. So we would have fun with that when they played with each other. We'd go out to dinner, watch sports. We'd go to Top Golf. There was their little restaurant down the street. We would do it every Thursday called Jimmy Hula's. I'm pretty sure you probably know what it is. We'd go there every Thursday and eat after school, and that was kind of like our thing. We ran it all the way to the end, so it was fun. It was fun.
Who was the biggest trash talker on the basketball court?
Probably probably Chris, because Chris was actually probably the best one out of all four of us, and he would because we would play with random people. People would show up, and he would probably talk the most trash. Being from the North, Minnesota guy, they like the trash talking up
That's
there.
not
So
usually what you hear though. Like you usually hear Minnesotans, they're the nice people, right?
yeah, it depends. I mean, like hockey, like they get into it in hockey too. So, but no, it was good. Chris was definitely probably the most trash talking, but it was fun. It was fun. It was never got physical or anything. It was all
I
fun
hope I
games.
hope it
So.
I hope you didn't have a black eye. You couldn't go on air with that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you got pretty involved behind the scenes with us, helping to volunteer. You were around all the time, and I know you made a kind of a special connection with Eric Rutledge while you were with us, both in class and then kind of in the control room. How did that help you as you were getting closer to the end of school? And obviously it's helped you more in your career now, which we'll get to in a bit.
Eric's a really good friend of mine now. We talk all the time. We probably talk every week because we're both big Michigan fans. So that was really easy to talk about. We'd always talk about Detroit sports. And yeah, when I come in there and he came in, probably in the middle of our program, started directing. It was probably halfway through. And when I realized he was a Michigan fan, I was like, oh God, I need to get with him. He worked with the Golf Channel. I love golf. So that was another thing. And when we go in there, he's just super easy to talk to. Everybody likes him. Super nice guy. And yeah, no, that helped me get through the rest. And all the other teachers were awesome. We had a few others that worked for the Golf Channel as well, so that really helped. He made it fun. He made it really fun. Made it really easy on us, talking in your ear, giving you all the positive feedback, making sure you're all good. So yeah, he it was made it really easy to get through the little program.
And it literally turned into opportunities for you. Well, I guess not literally, but it turned into opportunities for you because you had made that connection with him at that way in such a deep manner. What's your advice for other students and grads in terms of how they can use the course director relationships to help them further their careers even after they're done with school?
I think you need to be around school as much as possible. Like I volunteered a lot, signing up for just working in the studio, helping out other students. My advice: just be around, talk to everybody. Don't just assume that they're gonna not like you or anything. You got to talk to. You got to make the networking while you're there, because all these people have been in the business. They've seen it. They've lived it. They breathed it. Everything. Every single one of you guys have been in the business. So just networking is really the main thing, and then just kind of figure out what you want to do, and just talk with whoever you feel like that aligns with you more. And just yeah, networking is really important thing to get you far in the business.
And you mentioned a minute ago about getting involved, and you did things outside of that a little bit, right? So I want to talk about two specifically. You went and did some work at the Pro Bowl, kind of during the COVID era, so that was probably
Oh
really
yeah.
interesting. Why don't we start
Yep.
with that? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, me, Jackson, and Chris, we saw this thing online. You're like volunteer, like we didn't know what it was, but we just wanted to do it because it was the Pro Bowl. It was right before COVID. So it was like right, it was like they were talking about it. It was right before the Super Bowl, so we knew something was happening. But it was at the ESPN Wild World of Sports down in Orlando near Disney, and we volunteered there. I think we were just helping out with like mini games. It was not nothing like we thought it was going to be like a broadcasting opportunity, but it wasn't really. We kind of just helped out with the games, and it just we had fun with it. But we were there for probably like 10 hours that morning. We were there early, late into the day and helped out. But they had a little like show off to the side. ESPN did with like Victor Cruz. I have a picture with him,
Oh,
and
wow.
I high fived Lamar Jackson because they did an interview with him. I'll send that as well. But it was really cool. It was fun. We had fun with it. So it wasn't really anything broadcasting related, but it was definitely just cool just to be around like the athletes and all that.
I'm sure it was fun to be around the fans too, because at those things, and especially like Orlando, you're getting people from all over the country that are there. And if like even if they don't live there, if they're on vacation or whatever, and they know, oh, the Pro Bowl's going on, why don't we go check that out too? So what were the interactions like with the different fan bases that came through?
Well, me being a trash talker of the Lions, back then, during COVID, we weren't as good as we are now. If I saw a Packers fan, I was like, "Go Lions!" So interacting with, with fans, it was fun. But seeing all different kinds of kids with different jerseys, because like that was me when I was little. I had a Megatron jersey. I looked up to Calvin Johnson, probably one of the best receivers of all time in Detroit, and yeah, it was cool to see the little kids all like helping out with the kids because I love kids. I did a ministry group and a minute like a mission trip when I was in high school, so I always had the connection with kids. So I related back to that, looking back at it as a kid. So
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I know that like faith plays an important role in your life. How has the kind of that faith-based work that you've done and also just kind of your own personal beliefs, how have they propelled you to, as you said, kind of have better interactions with people and establish kind of that moral compass you want to be successful with?
No, it's I grew up in a really big Christian household, so that always helped with positive going to church every Sunday. Even when I was little, I didn't want to go to Sunday school. I didn't want to wake up because I was tired and but my parents dragged me out of bed, and I really take that for granted because God has put me in great places in my life, and you just gotta believe and trust in Him. And even if you don't believe in Him, that's fine. It's fine. I'm not judging anybody, but He played a really big role in my life, and I read a biography of Tim Tebow's book, which is I don't know if you've read it, but it's a great book, and he talks about how sports and faith really go hand in hand and how it helped him get that. So that really inspired me because I wasn't the biggest reader. I wasn't the biggest reader in high school, but I read that, and that just really inspired me more to get into sports and do it through faith. So that was really cool.
And later on, you would get an opportunity in the most unexpected place. And I'm sure that all those prayers were answered when you got that opportunity. We will get to that in a minute. This is Cameron Champagne. He was just talking about his Pro Bowl experience. But also, you did some work as a fan ambassador for Orlando City. How did that come about?
Yeah, it was during COVID. I didn't have a job because there wasn't many jobs in Orlando, but sports were kind of coming back, and they came to our school for like a meeting. I guess it was just kind of to recruit people because they needed people to work. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll go work live sports. So I went there. It's actually Garrison and we both went together, both signed up and worked a few games there. And that they came to our school. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I did it, and we kind of just stood like we just scanned tickets. It was really easy. We just be nice to people. It was in the VIP section, so like, celebrities would come through. So that was another. I had that Chick-fil-A aspect going back to Chick-fil-A, being positive, being nice to people. So it's kind of the same thing, just in a different realm, not food, but you kind of just have to be nice. And yeah, when the game started, you go and just make sure like everyone in their seats are good. They put you in sections, but most of the time you just watch the game. So it was cool. I'm not a big soccer fan, but that actually helped me watch soccer more. I watch soccer all the time now because like I didn't realize how fun it was to go watch. It's crazy because they have like a big wall. They're the first wall in the MLS, and they have people jumping up and down. I didn't realize how big it was in America because I know in Europe it's huge. It's a whole different game. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
It's great when that passion rubs off on you and you're able to deepen your interest in other things that you didn't necessarily think you were as into. But great point you brought up about the customer service aspect. In a way, what we do, everything involved in sportscasting is kind of customer service, right? We're showcasing a product that people want to watch. Yeah, there's an informational and educational aspect to it, but mostly it's entertainment, right? So understanding how to connect with people in an entertaining way is a big part of it. And even just scanning tickets and treating people the right way, that's a good lesson to learn. And it's great all these opportunities that are out there for students that come to our school, just being in the Orlando area with everything that comes in. So one thing I was really wanted to talk about today was you did I remember if it was a highlight or a VO, I think it was a highlight. And in the highlight, you built in, I think it was a women's basketball game, may have been Baylor, can't remember, because I know you did stuff on Baylor that
Yeah.
month. But LeBron James had tweeted about something that happened in the game, and you edited his tweet into the video, which was very much high professional level stuff from a production standpoint. How did you come up with the idea to do that and showcase it in your assignment?
Yeah. So I think I can remember this. It's yeah, that was awesome. Sports Center does something like when you watch someone get dunked on, they'll show the reactions from Twitter. 'Cause social media has changed the game for sports because that's all. Like if something happens, like someone gets injured, plays there. But no, yeah, the reaction, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had a reaction with Baylor. And it was, yeah, Sports Center was probably the main thing that I get it from was when something crazy happens, they show the reactions on Twitter from famous athletes. Like if somebody wins the Super Bowl, they'll give celebrities Twitter reactions, important people in the sports realm. So that's kind of probably where I got it from.
Yeah, and that shows the value of watching and listening, right? Like, and it's something I feel like we really try to emphasize to students all the time is like, if you're not watching other people do it, if you're not taking the time to invest in who's good at this, what can I learn from them, then you're missing a great opportunity because isn't that your goal? Isn't your goal to be that person? So there's nothing wrong with taking ideas that are out there in the industry. It's done all the time. Things are repurposed, right? We just had a Zoom call where Gus interviewed Scott Hansen from Red Zone, and he was talking about how, well, we weren't the first ones to come up with the idea. There's nothing wrong with taking an idea and kind of perfecting it. So I loved that you did that. And to be honest with you, I want to see more of that from other people. I haven't seen enough of that. And I loved that you had that production mindset. And it seemed as you were getting closer to the finish line, you told me, like, I want to be a producer, I want to do things in production. When did you really dive full into the production side of things?
Just being there on in the studio like every day, going there volunteering, sitting in the control room, being because we would there's stations like during when we were performing. When you weren't performing, you'd be the audio director, you'd do the audio, the little control room in the back in the studio, and I really love that aspect of it. The camera operator, stage manager, which I've done a few times in Paris. We can get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just really like that aspect of it, and it was really cool to be in that realm. Full Sail really helped a lot, and because it was really hands on. It's like probably the only program that's like that. So
Yeah, and you grew a lot while you were with us. You mentioned the maturity that you got when you were with Chick-fil-A and how that helped you mature as a really young guy. Well, you were still pretty young when you came to us. Where did you see the biggest areas of growth in yourself personally during your time in school?
honestly, just building things, building shows. When we had to put things together, that's where I got really creative. Like you mentioned earlier, the Champagne Train, which we could probably edit that in and put a segment in there. I just like to have fun with it. I knew I didn't want to be on camera, but I still had to do it, and I found myself growing in that aspect, putting different segments in. Like I think there was a Baylor basketball thing that I had a timeline when the last time they made the Final Four, and I it was like the first like car gas was probably like 25 cents. I think I put that in there, like just things that were happened that year when Baylor last made the Final Four. So just things like that. I tried to have fun with it and put things in that other people didn't. And I like to be creative, so that's when I found I like found myself growing the most. My confidence grew and my creative mindset. I just think of stats and random things that hopefully other people didn't really do.
When did you
Try to
know
stand out.
that when did you know that you didn't want to be on camera?
It was probably right away. The first month, I was like, I can't do that. I can't do this because I saw how many people are behind the camera. There's probably thousands of people behind of a camera, and there's three in front of a camera. How hard is it going to have to get to that job? And I'm not the greatest person on camera. I get really nervous. So that was just another thing. But I mean, I had fun with it, so I still had to do it to perfect it. I tried to perfect it as best I could, but at the start and the end. But I just knew that wasn't for me, and I would want to be on the more techie side because I'm a little nerd when it comes to tech stuff.
But it's great that you identified that way at the beginning because that gave you a chance to adjust what you were trying to do. So, how did that change the way you went about your business, knowing that I want to be on the other side of the camera?
Well, when I found out some teachers of like what they did, like Eric, for example, he's the director, so I tried to get close with him, and I tried to focus on just things that I tried to get better at. Like sitting in the control room watching Chris. I can't remember the guy's name. That does
Mm-hmm.
is it Chris? The
Yep.
guy is he still there? That's
He's
it.
still
He's still
there?
doing it, and that's awesome. I'll have to come stop by. But yeah, no, he was a great because he knew everything. He's like a freaking Swiss Army knife. Like he just, but he was super nice. So I really wanted to focus on that. So I just hang out in there as much as possible, ask questions because you got to ask questions. If you sit there in the corner and just watch, you're not going to learn anything. You got to be hands on, ask questions. Don't be afraid of anything. Because you're paying to be there. You want this is what you want to do. You signed up for it, so you got to get the best of it while you're still there.
You mentioned the hands-on aspect earlier. What did you think about the way that the full sail classes were structured?
I think they were really well. It was very fast paced, so you had a new class every month. So once you get very close to a teacher, you're like, oh, I gotta say goodbye already. Like usually at a normal college, you have a whole semester, you have 3 months, 4 months with them. But one quick month, it was quick, fast paced, and but I liked it because you learned a bunch of different things, and then at the end, you get to put it all together, which really helped all of us. And I hope everyone that gets to the end of this program really sees that, and yeah, you get to learn everything, like literally everything in broadcasting is there. Some things I didn't even know how to do, so learned a lot.
And you did get to the end, and you got the opportunity to graduate with those friends that you shared all those great experiences with. What did it mean to you to have that moment with them on graduation day?
Well, we got hit with COVID, so that was a big thing. So we had probably what 5, 6, 7 months apart, and it was really hard to adjust because I had to haul all my gear. I moved back home because my release was up, so I wasn't going to pay for somewhere that was just going to sit in there all day. So I moved back home. I had to move all the gear, the lighting, computer, which that helped. I take it for granted. COVID's not the best thing for everyone, but it helped us because we got to learn a lot more on the computer side of it, of how to put things together other than just sitting in the classroom, because you learned how to do everything on your own. You were on your own. Like you were literally, it was just you, your family, or whoever you were with. You weren't with your classmates. You weren't with your teacher. It wasn't really as hands on, but you get to learn how to use things in the computer, which helped. Yeah, so I take COVID for granted just because it was different. But at the end of our class, it was awesome just to see everyone get through it. We all did it because we were all stressing, especially the last month with you. The big old 30-minute show or 25-minute show that we had to put together it's took the whole month. I was sitting there for hours, probably 12, 13 hours a day. Like, what do I have to do? Like, what's happening? It was hard because COVID, there wasn't much sports going on. So you had to be creative and go do like Korean baseball. Like that was like the only thing that was happening. Because I remember people when sports first came back, Korean baseball was the only
Yeah.
thing that was happening at like 2 o'clock in the morning. People were betting on it. It was nuts. It was nuts. But no, I it was good. It really tested us because people nowadays they're there on the program, so it helped us. And yeah, we were very thankful it was over, but we had fun with it and we were all proud of each other. And some of us still talk today, which is good. So
Yeah, and then you entered the job market where you're still in this COVID situation. It was hard, right? And I know you waited a long time, and you got an opportunity at Universal that you were excited about, and you ended up working there. Share more about what you did at Universal.
so it was more just customer service. I went back into the food realm. So I saw COVID was happening and there wasn't really much job. The job market was very, very small. But Florida opened back up really quick. And I was like, oh, I can move back. Like full sales right there. So if like something opens up and go work over there. So I didn't realize how much I was gonna like that job. But yeah, I worked there for probably 2 years, and then halfway through, I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. And like I even thought about quitting sports broadcasting at one point. I remember telling you like, hey, I don't know if this is for me
Yeah,
anymore.
you basically told me, hey, I got a good job. I think I'm all right, right? So it was interesting. We had that conversation, and I was like, oh, good for him. He's got a good job at Universal. He likes it. I'm happy for him. Just because you go through our program doesn't mean you got to end up doing sportscasting. It's just we want y'all to have good jobs and be happy and be successful, right? So
For
let's
sure.
take it to that point because that's where I was going next. You feel like, okay, I enjoyed my time at Full Sail. Sportscasting was great, but I've got a new job and a new life here, and everything's going all right. And then you met somebody and it changed your life. Tell us the story.
All right. So I've told the story probably a million times now, but it's one of my favorite stories because the girl that actually got my job, every time I meet someone in NBC, she tells the story, and I'm like, stop, stop. But no, her name was Sydney Sifu. She works in graphics, but it was during Bay Hill 2 years ago when they were in Orlando, and they work for NBC, so they get like comp tickets to come to Universal for free. I was working a food stand. It was like a Mardi Gras event, so I was working like Germany or whatever. I think I was selling chicken schnitzels. I think that's what I was doing. I was working the counter, but I saw their golf channel hat. I was like, oh shoot, okay, all right, this is my opportunity. Said, hey, are you guys here for golf tournament? Like, yeah. I was like, well, I went to school for the sports broadcasting, and she was like, we have to get these guys' number. Like, so that I stepped to the side. There's a long line waiting for people for food. I'm just at the register taking forever, talking to these people for probably 10 minutes. And I just kept telling people like the computer was down, like it wasn't working. The computer, I was making BS comments just so the conversation would prolong. Took down my name, number, email. I get an email about probably a week and a half later. Hey, we want you in San Antonio next week. I was like, oh God, I already got my schedule for Universal. Like I can't just like call out. I told him, call my mom. She's like, you have to do this. You have to go. I was like, all right. So I hope thankfully gave all my shifts away for that week, so I was good on that. Went there, and yeah, the sister, we can get into that later of how my first job went, but yeah, that's how it went down. It was really quick. It was just spur of the moment, and I thank God that I was in that moment at that time. So it was very quick, and it was awesome. It was probably I'll tell that story for the rest of my life. So
And Mike Tuck is still in line waiting for his chicken schnitzel. So get back there, Cam. What are you doing? No, what I take from that story is that, and I don't want to like go back to like Eminem too much, but you get your one shot, right? You never know when that opportunity is going to come. And going through our program, you're prepared when you leave for that opportunity. And life takes us in many different directions. But when that opportunity comes, you got to be ready for it. And you could have just as easily just clammed up and said, oh, cool, you work for Golf Channel, whatever, not had that conversation. But having one conversation changed your life in the course of your life. And it
for
seems
sure.
like the happiness of your life too, right? So now
Oh
you are
yeah,
where
I
you
mean,
are. Go ahead.
yeah. No, it was a crazy day. I'll tell that at my wedding. But they call me the schnitzel guy at NBC, so it's a little running joke. So they go, oh, yeah, when I come to the trucks, they're like, yeah, you schnitzel guy. But then now they know me now because I've worked there for a year and a half now. But at first, it was just a running joke, and I laughed at it because I had to. I mean, it was great,
From schnitzel to escargot in Paris. It's quite the
great.
food journey that he has taken. I don't know if you eat escargot, but I just threw that out there because. But speaking of opportunities, that one encounter got you to where you are now. What's it like living the dream?
Oh, it's awesome. I get to travel the world. I've seen things that I thought I would never see. Like I thought I would never go and work in Europe for a month and a half, let alone working basketball and gymnastics, which was insane. I've done many things that I thought I would never be at, and I'm very thankful. Like golf terms, I just did the President's Cup. We could watch the U.S. win. That was awesome. I got to drive around Nota Begay all day, which she's a good friend of mine now. Because they have like volunteer drivers that come for the tournaments and drive them around because they have to get to the green really quick. But the driver didn't know the course, showed up, and so they asked me. I never knew the course, drove there. But yeah, I've done many countless things. I did something with Jimmy Fallon. I'm actually on a credit on Jimmy Fallon and DJ Khaled. They did a little golf match in
Wow.
Tahoe, and
Huh.
like the few of the runners helped out, and they put us in the credits. So that was like insane. Like it aired on Jimmy Fallon's late night show, and at the end, production support, our names are there. So it's taken me many places I thought I'd never be, and I'm very very thankful for it.
Amazing. Amazing. And primarily when you started out, as you kind of alluded to, was golf. So, first of all, what does a golf runner do?
So it's not the best job, but it gets you in the door. Like we take out the trash. We get to make we do all the dirty work. We take care of the compound. We go in the trailer, the production trailer where all the talent broadcasters sit, the producer Tommy Roy, which is a great legendary producer for NBC. But he we go buy the groceries, we go buy the food, the drinks, stock it all up, make sure it's clean all the time. Like you probably go in there once every 30 minutes because if they're eating and our production manager sees the trash is full, like if we don't do it, she'll get on us, she'll get mad. During broadcasts, we go and bring snacks because they can't. It's a live broadcast. They can't get out of the truck. They have 2 minute, 3 minute commercials. They just got to be quick. And during commercials, they're editing, cutting things, and whatnot. Driving broadcasters from the compound in a golf cart to the booth, so they don't have to drive. And it's kind of like a valet service. During long hours, like during the U.S. Open, it's probably 7, 8 hour days of coverage. So we bring waters out to the camera guys because they're there all day. Um, it's a lot of the dirty work, but it's also good because you get to learn everything. You get to meet everybody because everybody knows you as the runners. The runner, they title you as that. But I mean, everyone's very thankful for us. We go and pick up food. Usually, we set up the desk, which is a big thing. I didn't even mention that. It's 500-pound pieces of desk up 4 flights of stairs, and they trust a bunch of 20-something-year-old college kids to carry a $500,000 desk, which is it's funny, but no, it's fun. I love it. You get to meet everyone's super nice. It's kind of a tight family because it's the same people you work with every week. You add in a few other people here and there, but it's pretty tight, so it's good.
What's your favorite part of the job?
Just working, seeing the golf courses. I love seeing the golf, like seeing these crazy golf courses, like TPC Sawgrass, legendary 17 hole, Island Green. I worked the Women's Masters, Augusta Women's National Masters, which is fairly
Wow.
new. I got to see Augusta. I got to see Butler Cabin. Super strict. It's crazy in there. Like no phones. Like we carried our phones on us in our pockets, but we just couldn't get caught with it because the Augusta people kick you out. Um, but no, you drive their golf carts, driving around there. I didn't see the course unfortunately because our main things was the Butler cabin and the driving range. There was a little cabin where we did our thing. So it's yeah, just seeing different golf courses is probably my favorite part.
And you started kind of as, yeah, I might do an event here or there. And then you got so good and were so well respected that you made it into your full job. How were you able to stand out to get the trust from them to keep bringing you back and give you more responsibilities?
No, I know I keep bringing this back, but back to the Chick-fil-A thing, just treating people nice, and just saying yes to everything. So we have a mass group text with all the runners, and then our production manager should be like, "Hey, so we need a camera sheet ran out to one of our camera guys on this hole." First thing when you get there, the first day, we build the desk and then learn the golf course. So you got to know where all the holes are. You got to know where the will call is. So if you bring somebody tickets, like go grab tickets from will call, go give it out to someone at the front gate. We got to learn where everything is. The rules radios, we pick up those for our rules guys in the truck so they can communicate with the rules people and then track it back to the broadcasters just in case there's like a big ruling. Yeah, so just learning the golf course, say yes to everything, don't say no, even if you don't know how to do it, just ask somebody. Just be quick, responsive, because if someone there's like an emergency or something, like a broadcaster needs a shirt because they forgot a shirt. I don't know what's happened before. There's crazy things have happened in the realm. If no one responds, like they'll freak out and be like, "Okay, we need this." Like you just gotta be responsive. You just gotta phone is a main thing. So just make sure you always have your ringer on, checking your text just to make sure there's no work.
And you were primarily working for NBC for a while, but then you got opportunities with CBS, Fox, Amazon Prime, even for NFL stuff. How did you expand your portfolio to get these additional freelance opportunities?
So yeah, we have this runner that does some golf and then mainly just football during the football season. So when it's the off season, he would do golf. So I got talking to him. His name's Sam. He did Amazon. He knows I live in Orlando, so I did the Amazon game in Miami, which was about a 3 hour drive. I know it's not the best, but it was just to make connections. Like I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna say yes to it. And then that correlated. That was really awesome. I got to work with all the pre-show, Richard Sherman, Fitzpatrick, Whitworth, all those guys. I got to sit in the green room. My job was pretty much just work in the green room, not the actual like on the field stuff, but just making sure they had snacks and all that. So that was pretty cool. And then that carried on to Fox because he wanted to see how I did in football because he knew I did well in golf, but it was like a different atmosphere in football, and that carried on to Fox, which he worked in Jacksonville. So that's how I got in there. So him. So big thanks to him.
It's all people you know, right?
Sure.
People
Yep.
people help out. You find the right people. You're already in one job. This person connects you to the next, and now you're working as much as you could ever want. Did you happen to ask Andrew Whitworth why he wears a hoodie underneath his suit jacket?
It's nuts. So it was in Miami. It was the week when, which I don't know what they were thinking scheduling that game because it was pouring down raining in the middle of hurricane season in the first week in the prime September, first week of September, the first Thursday night football game of the year, and he's suit hoodie and he's just drenched. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, it's comfortable. So I was like, all right. He's like, it's a workout for me. So um, yeah, I did actually ask him about it. I was like, why do you wear so much? He's like, well, that's just how I roll. I was like, all right.
See, this is what I come here for, right? This kind of inside information because I've been wanting to know the answer to that question for a long time. And I honestly, I'm like, he's gonna start a new trend. Like when the anchor started wearing sneakers at the desk, like this is gonna be the new thing. Like Belichick's gonna bring his hoodie back and he'll wear it when he broadcasts, right? So good stuff. Before we get to the Paris stuff, which is what I kind of want to close with here, um, you had these work opportunities that you've got, and you've done all this travel. I'm kind of curious how the travel works. Are you responsible for setting up your travel, or do they just take care of all of it?
Yeah, so when they do, it's probably about a month outside of the event. So if you set up like you put in a request for flights. So if it's like Delta, you put in times and then you put in your own flights to request it, and then they'll look at it financially. If it's not too expensive, they'll put you on a cheaper flight if that one's too expensive, just for their finance stuff. But yeah, they set up the hotel and everything. The only thing we have to do is set up the flight, and then they give us a rental car. Sometimes it kind of depends on how. There's about 10 runners, so usually we get 3 or 4 cars. So you get lucky if you get a rental car. They usually give it to the people that have been there longer. Um, but no, the only thing we set up for travel is our flight, and then they take care of everything else.
When the food's usually pretty good at these golf tournaments, you're eating well on the road?
Sometimes it just depends where we are. Like Augusta didn't really have much. I don't
Sure.
know if you've ever been to Augusta, Georgia. It's really just a small town,
It's on
and
my
it's
bucket
not.
list, Cam. I'm not like you going to the Masters, women's Masters all the time.
No, no. We mainly just go to the bars and just eat bar food. We eat pretty bad on the road, but I try to eat. I try to mix in a few salads here and there. But no, it's the food is it just depends where you are. It's like how nice the place is. If there's good bar scene or a good food scene around. So it really just depends where you travel to.
Well, speaking of places with good food, you just came back from Paris not too long ago. How did you end up getting the chance to go and work the Olympics?
So it was in Tahoe of this year. My production manager named Julia, she was working the Olympics. I knew going to that trip, I was like, I have to ask her, like, see if they have anyone open. So I was in the room. They were happened to be talking about because she was setting up because she was getting stressed out. I was like, "Why are you so stressed today?" She's like, "Well, I'm stressed about the Olympics." Okay, all right, all right. So I was like, "If you guys need any help there, I'll go work in Stanford because they needed help in Stanford too." But I'll go do anything, and even if it's in Stanford, I said I got to work the Olympics at some aspect. I get an email about 3 weeks later. I was like, oh yeah, this is like 3 weeks goes on. I was like, no, this is not happening. Like it's not gonna go through. I get an email from the hiring manager for the Olympics, like, oh cool, this is gonna be in Stanford. She's like, and then I get to the interview and she's like, you want to go to Paris? It's like, well, I'm not gonna say no. I think that's the dumbest. If I said no, that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. She's like, yeah, you'll be there for 2 months, almost 2 months. Like, what sport do you want to do? Like, they were super flexible. Like, what do you want to do? Like, you get to choose. And I was like, okay. As I said, I like basketball and then maybe gymnastics. And they're like, oh, great. It's going to be in the same arena. So I did gymnastics for the first part. And then they had basketball there for like the quarterfinals through the finals. So it's like, oh my God, like this is awesome. I thought I would be getting stuck doing like equestrian or like, I don't know, something that I didn't really have an interest in. But they gave me the choice of what I wanted to do, which was awesome.
Well, Mark Condren's jealous because he did go to work in Stanford for the second straight Olympics, and there you are in Paris. What an amazing experience, and you got to pick your two favorite sports, and it just so happened they were in the same place. What was it like being around the events?
It was nuts. It was like, especially more in the gymnastics part, it was with the girls because the buzz, like between, we did both men's and women's. So, like, the buzz with the cameras, there was not as many cameras during the guys because the guys historically aren't as big as the girls, Team USA. But they're like LeBron James of their sport. I didn't realize how big they were because I wasn't really into gymnastics. But when they showed up, it was like LeBron James or Steph Curry or like anyone. Taylor Swift walked in. Cameras were in their face 24. So I can't even imagine the pressure going back to Simone Biles back in 2020 Olympics. She mentally she couldn't do it. There's a documentary out about it. But no, being in that atmosphere was insane. I didn't realize how big they were until I watched them, and then the USA fans traveled well. It felt like you were in the US when they came in and did their thing. So that was awesome being in the atmosphere of it.
Did you, kind of pinch yourself and say, "Oh my God, I am watching history be made by the gymnastics team, by the basketball team"? Did you kind of get that moment where it was like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm here right now," or were you so focused on the work it was harder?
No, I was fangirling over it because I'm a huge basketball nerd, huge basketball nerd, and sitting courtside for the basketball games, like semifinals, USA was down probably like 20 at halftime to Serbia. I was like, oh, this is over. Like, Serbia's not missing. Like, Jokic got our number. Like, we're not making any shots. And then the comeback was insane. And everyone was against the US in that game because they're the French before that in the semifinal before that they advanced and they're the home team. So obviously they don't want to play the US. They want a better matchup. They felt like they had a better chance for Serbia, which makes sense. But it was insane. Curry went off. I think he had probably 38-9 that game. He probably had like 25 in the second half, like 7 threes. It was nuts. Sitting next to D Wade, like that was I never thought I would be doing that. And then
Was
yeah,
that
it was
just
kind of
because
just
of your job that you were sitting next to him? Why were you sitting next to Wade?
yeah, it was kind of like we were sitting there if they needed water. He had a big security guy next to him, which is kind of funny. Like, his name was Big Willie. He didn't speak English, so he would just point and be like, D Wade would be like, yes. But fans were right behind us, so I had to kind of play security and just make sure no one's like harassing him during the broadcast, asking for pictures, and like he would do it and it's like after games and stuff. He was really nice about it. But I was there like if they needed water or they need to go to the bathroom, just kind of like an escort. So,
Wow.
but
Well,
but yeah, he,
you go ahead.
no, that was it. That
You
was
were
good.
talking about Augusta earlier. So you kind of the two things I've always wanted to do, you did pretty recently, Augusta and the Olympics. What was it like being in the city while all the events are going on and people all over the world being there?
It was nuts. It was very locked down when I first got there because the opening ceremony was like a big security issue because they did it on the sim, like they've never done this before, like you should do it in a stadium. So like they had everything locked down. Our team, our arena was actually in charge of getting USA on the boat because we were at the start of the route. So we had to escort the whole team on there. Guys wearing AKs on their arms, the military. It was very locked down. But once this opening ceremony was done, the stress was done because the city was very stressed. We didn't get to go to the opening ceremony, which thank God I didn't because it was pouring down raining. It was cold. So we watched it in our hotel. But no, being in the city was awesome. I've never been to Paris, so that was good. The food was awesome. We had a few days off. We had some dead days in between, like gymnastics. So I got to go watch other sports, watch swimming, we went to the beach volleyball court a lot because they would have like late night matches at like 11 o'clock at night. So we were like, all right, we don't have to be at work until noon tomorrow. Let's go. It's right in front of the Eiffel Tower. So they gave you like a Metro card, the train system there, subway system, and you could use it unlimited. So we didn't have to pay for travel. So they had signs. We used the phone so we know what stop to get off. But it's an unreal experience. Probably the best experience I'll ever have in my life. So.
And it's cool that you got time to do it too, because I was going to ask you, are the work days so long that you couldn't see anything? What did you think of the city?
It was awesome. I name it as like the New York of Europe. It's traffic all the time. everything. Like the city never sleeps. Like New York, it says that city never sleeps. There's always things going on. The bar life is awesome. The atmosphere, and they're just cool. You got everyone from around the world. It kind of, who cares what's happening in the world, politics, all that. Who cares what's going on? Who disagrees with everyone? Everyone stops, pauses for about a month, which is crazy, right? Why can't not be like that all the time? But everyone just pauses. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world, to come together and unite and just watch great athletes do what they've dreamt of doing their whole life. So.
So I'm sure seeing all the matchups, the semifinal, the gold medal, all that, sitting next to D Wade, all that was awesome. But outside of that part of it, what was your favorite part of the experience being there for the Olympics?
Just being a part of I can say I worked the Olympics. Like not a lot of people can say that. I actually got very lucky. One of our production managers, I've worked with him in golf before. He doesn't do much golf. He usually does Sunday football. His name's Vincent Rayo. He was our production manager for gymnastics. And then the head of the Europe NBC, like NBC has the headquarters in London for the Barclays Premier League. Lisa, she made it really easy. She knew my production managers in golf, so that was probably my favorite part, just meeting new people from around the world that worked in my realm of sports for NBC, and they made it really easy on us. It was really fun. Got to meet some cool interns that I still talk to nowadays. So that's probably my favorite part, just meeting new people from my industry from all around.
It's just so incredible. Anything else you'd like to share? Any stories from Paris or anything else that you think would be fun for our audience to hear about that part of your life that just happened?
Uh, we got to go to the Team USA house where all the athletes come.
Wow.
So we got access one day, and so that was pretty cool. We got to see all the athletes. They had a party there later that day. We didn't stay for it, but they had like a Snoop Dogg party, so we are staying there. I got to escort Gabrielle, what's her name? Dwayne Wade's wife. I got to escort
Union?
her into the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabrielle Union. I escorted Simone Biles' husband into the stadium. I talked
Chicago Bear
Jonathan
legend. Yep.
Jonathan Owens. So that was yeah, just escorting a bunch of important people. Met Snoop Dogg. That was insane.
And he's a tall
Yes,
guy, right?
yeah, he was the talk of the Olympics. He literally was everywhere. He went to every sport, and he had fun with it. So yeah, that was probably my favorite part of meeting celebrities, and that was something cool that you just don't see on TV. So.
All right. Well, that leads us into the final big question. What are your future dreams within the business?
So I do not know exactly. I know my end goal. I want to be producing. I don't know if it's gonna be at NBC. I don't know, Fox, anywhere, but I want to be producing at some capacity, at some aspect. I don't know how I want to get there yet. I've really liked seeing the graphics team. That's where the lady that helped me get the job, their team in the trucks there, I really like. So the graphics would probably be going that route, hopefully, because I think some people are about to. There's a lot of older people that because they these guys work their whole lives, so a lot of older people that are probably going to be rotating out of there. Probably hope in the next few years, so the spot will open up and I'll go into the trucks. I want to go in the trucks. I don't want a utility. I don't want to be like in the fields,
And you said
but I
you've been
want to.
spending some time in the truck too, getting to know people and making connections, right?
Yeah, because during the actual broadcast, we're not really doing much instead of like just bringing snacks like once an hour. So like when you're not doing that, you might as well take advantage of it and just go sit in there. Like I'll go sit in the producer room and watch them go at it. It's not they yell at each other. It's all fun and games, but it's loud in there. It's loud in there between the producer and the director. But no, it's fun. So I like sitting in there, and hopefully I'll end up there someday. So
Well, look what selling the schnitzel got you. Now you got a chance to be in the truck, right? So imagine that the opportunities that are in the truck versus the universal schnitzel line. So you're working your way up. You're doing it the right way, and as you said, being good to people has been a big part of it. Great. We like to end with what we call the dream sequence at the end. So I'm going to throw three fast fire questions at you. You answer quickly and honestly off the top of your head. So you've done the Summer Olympics now. Dream Winter Olympic sports venue, or not venue, but Winter Olympic sport to be associated with and work.
snowboarding, half pipe. I loved watching Shaun White. So that was really cool. That's what I'd love to do. And I know she mentioned us working there in 2026. So hopefully I got the connection now. So she does all the Olympics. So hopefully I'll be there in Milan. So snowboarding half
Perfect.
pipe.
Perfect. I like it. You escorted some celebrities at the Olympics and otherwise. Dream celebrity to escort the next time.
Oh goodness. I don't know. Tom Cruise was there, so that would be really cool. I love love that movie. So Tom Cruise would be a good one.
Just don't get in a plane with him. It might be a
No,
fast
no,
ride
he
for
did his
you.
own he did his own stunt in the closing ceremony. He's nuts. I
Finally, you've been to the Olympics, you've been to Augusta, you've been many other places. Dream sports location you have not been to yet.
want to go to Pebble Beach. That's probably my top one. It's a beautiful course. It's been dream course to play one day. So hopefully I'll get out there, or even St. Andrews. Uh, They're going
Yeah,
out
if,
there.
if, if that doesn't work out, we'll just go to St. Andrews, right? Good for
I
you.
had some friends that were in Scotland, so.
All right. Finally, what advice do you have for anybody who wants to live the dream like you are?
If you want to be in this business, I highly recommend going to Full Sail because I treat it as a big job interview. I know you're there for school, and sometimes it's not the best stuff you want to do, and it's a lot of hard work. But do it at the best of your ability. Talk to people. Be at the school as much as possible, um, and just chase it. Chase your dreams, and even if you don't think you this is what you want to do, but you know you want to be in sports, I just say screw it and just do it, chase it.
And have that conversation with the person in line when you're working, right? Because it can change your life. It did for Cam Champagne. I want to thank the Champagne train for making a stop on this podcast today. He's living his dream. All of you, keep on living your dream.